So good afternoon, everyone. Um, Today, we are going to have a panel discussion on AI for code generation. I'm pretty much sure you all must have had various instances while you have been developing the code where you're kind of stuck in a bug or working late night, or maybe there's a legacy code where you might have to add a new component or a new feature which needs to be shipped very, very urgently because of a dead timeline or whatever it is. And that's where we have now kind of found a loophole that we can use AI to get all those things done. So yes, a lot of people of us, we are using AI for code generation, that too on a daily basis. So today, we are having the panelists who are using AI extensively in the day-to-day developments. And we are going to have a discussion with them regarding how they're using it, in what way they're using it, and get some insights from them. So let's introduce them.
Yeah, hi, I'm Saurabh. I work in the design system team of Razorpay. I have been working on some MCPs. We've been exploring a lot of AI things in Razorpay. And apart from that, I also just build random silly libraries that are on my GitHub. So yeah, you can check them out.
And just to flex, because I just got to know that he has also worked with Webpack. Oh, that's him. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll flex about him then. He has also worked with Webpack, and what other things we were talking about? ESLint, yes. So yeah, we have an amazing panel. So yeah, a huge round of applause. Sorry for the Okay, I'll introduce myself now. Hey guys, I'm Navya. I hope you guys have seen me talking about accessibility and AI today. And we will be talking in this panel discussion more about AI and how, apart from accessibility, we can leverage AI in our day-to-day and make it more productive. So yeah.
Hey folks, I'm Chaitanya. I had the first talk today, so I'm guessing not a lot of people made it. But just in case for a recap, I spoke about how we are leveraging AI at Razorpay to convert Figma designs into code, and we've been using AI in a lot of places and would love to talk more about it today. Yeah.
Hi folks, I'm Nitin and I'm an open source maintainer, and I've been contributing to Webpack and ESLint so over past 5 years. Majorly I worked on led the development of Webpack CLI, Webpack Dev Server, the online ESLint playground that you see, bunch of other things also. And when I'm not coding, I like to play FIFA, watch anime. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's start with how AI is directly impacting your work. So my first question will be, how has AI changed the way you write code today compared to a few years back, like 2 years ago? And can you give us some concrete examples from a daily work where you have been utilizing this?
Yeah, I shouldn't have said that side because it's just coming to me first now. I think it has been a very gradual change because earlier we used to write code mostly manually, and there's Google search which we would refer to for doing anything. Then ChatGPT came, and then there was ChatGPT phase where instead of Google searching, we would ask ChatGPT. Then sort of a ChatGPT became part of the IDE. Then Cursor came in. Cursor was, I think, a big jump compared to how we used to build previously. So, I remember earlier, when we just got adopted to Cursor, initially you're just so used to writing code manually that you just start writing the code and then you realize you don't have to do that anymore. And there's this mental switch that keeps on coming in where, I don't have to do this anymore. I can just prompt and it should generate decent enough code for me to get started with. So I think it has been gradual in that sense where it didn't change overnight, but it still changed very fast because I don't think so not even 2 years back, I guess, just few months back, I was writing code very differently than the way I write code now. I think earlier there was this term that came in called prompt engineering, and I was like, I don't want to be called prompt engineer, but now I'm just fully embracing that. I think I'm a prompt engineer at work. Now I don't write JavaScript, I just write English. So yeah, I think it has changed a lot in a sense just the overall workflow. Personally for me, I don't think so I write tests anymore. I don't write documentations. I don't even write code. I just fix the code that Cursor generates. So yeah, it has changed a lot.
I think I share the same sentiment. Like earlier, we used to open 10 tabs on Stack Overflow and Google. Now that agent has changed. Like now that search thing has changed. Instead of like, we were just discussing backstage as well, like, let's Google about this company. And we were like, no, not let Google, let's chat GPT it, right? So I think that terminology has changed. Instead of Googling and Stack Overflow, now we are talking about AI agents. For me personally, I think another thing that AI boom has resulted into is how I think versus what to do. You know, earlier I used to be of this notion that, let's say if I have to start with React or anything new technology, I wanted to learn it first and then implement or then start coding. Now it's about, I can just start. I don't have to do that learning as the first step. I can maybe do that learning while I'm coding with Cursor or any AI agent. So now it's just about providing that right context to my AI tool, which means how I'm thinking about that problem statement rather than how I'm implementing it. So I think that's been a change that I am observing with AI personally. Yeah.
Nothing new to add, but this conversation sort of reminds me of a conversation I had with a guy who has been in the industry for a good 50, 60 years. And he used to tell me, you guys are so lucky, you can Google whatever bug you are facing and you'll just get the answer. We used to read books that were 500 pages long and you guys just have it so easy. And I'm just thinking this is a similar revolution, right? Where we don't have to Google anything. We don't have to go to Stack Overflow. We don't have to figure something out. We can just ask an AI to tell us what is wrong with something. I think it's just a natural progression. Technology is going to evolve. It's ChatGPT today. It will be something else tomorrow. But engineers will be there and we'll just be interacting with something different. I think how it has personally changed for me, I've become a little more fearless. Like I'm diving into repos that I have no context of. Writing code of language that I've never learned. But I think these agents have made it easier. I know the problem that I want to solve. I can rely on some AI agent to help nudge me in the right direction. And I think what I'm about to say might sound like I'm very lonely, but I feel like I have like a buddy at work that I can constantly talk to, brainstorm with. That was always there, but this is just, just one click away. Earlier I had to wait for a Slack response to come in. Now it's just very quick. I can talk, I can brainstorm and figure out multiple solutions. And I think that's been the biggest change for me.
Yes, similar experience with me as well, like lots of tabs earlier, but now I have a AI programming session with Cursor. And one thing that I would like to add is that earlier, like 2 years ago, I would know nothing about regular expressions, but now I can write very, very complicated regular expression in like 2 seconds.
Agreed. So I also had like a similar experience where I have no experience with Python, but when this AI came, I was very first to just make a snake game because I was very fascinated by it. So using Python, I created that game, although I had no idea what the code was, how it was done, but at least I could see it working in a practical application.
So yeah, just adding to, I think, what you said, the mental model switch. Plug. I'm giving a workshop tomorrow, and I was trying to figure out how to design this workshop. And my initial plan was like when I applied for Nexus, it was more of a hands-on coding workshop. But while I was working on it, I realized that there's no point in telling people how to write each single piece of code anymore, because AI is probably going to generate that code for you. So I kind of had to just make that mental model switch while developing workshop as well, where it's less of a hands-on coding and more of a hands-on architecture workshop. Because there's not much benefit that you would get by just telling you that, hey, this is how you write one piece of code and then second line and third line. AI probably generates a big piece of that for you, and you just tell AI what you want. So yeah, I think that has been like something that has changed.
I just want to double tap on what Chaitanya said, that that fearless mode is now gone. Like, for example, earlier, if we have to start on some new project, etc., we used to wait for KT sessions or maybe, you know, ye kaise hoga kind of attitude. Oh, this is a new problem and I'm just left deserted. Now I'm not left deserted, at least. I know I have that confidence that kar to lenge, maybe kaisa bhi ho, buggy ho, but kar lenge, thanks to like AI agents. So I think that confidence of problem solving attitude is something that has been backed by AI and it has helped a lot. So, yeah.
So since we've established that we are using Cursor, AI, whatever it is, on a regular day-to-day basis. So can you help me, like with the audience, that what all tools are you using for what purpose? For example, maybe Gemini for brainstorming or Claude for coding. Everyone has like a priority or a preference that for this particular problem, I'm going to use that. For debugging, I might use a different agent. So what models do you guys prefer?
I think for me, it's majority of things are in Cursor itself, like writing code, writing tests for tests, and all the other things we have like Cursor rules defined in our repo. One thing where I don't use Cursor is if I just want to chat and have some conversation with. I don't know why. Like I know Cursor has an option to do that, but I'm just scared that Cursor will start changing my entire code base into something else. So I just forget that from the Cursor part and I do that on the ChatGPT. So the conversational part goes on ChatGPT, but everything that's related to code and just general coding things, I think that's mostly on Cursor for me. Model, I usually, okay, so model has also made a difference in terms of what I want to generate. So if I'm generating like a larger piece of code, like let's say I want to just select a large piece of UI and generate that whole thing as a code, I would probably use like some premium models like Claude 4 or something. But for smaller things, I usually just set it on auto and let it use whichever I want. Otherwise, Claude 4 like overthinks the task and sometimes changes a lot of things. So I usually keep the Claude 4 for the larger sections, and for smaller things, it's just auto.
For me, when it comes to code, it's either Cursor or Copilot. If it starts hallucinating or gives me stupid results and I'm not really liking it, then I just switch to Copilot or Cursor or change the model, basically start using Sonnet or Claude or 3.5 or 4. For my day-to-day personal life, when I have to rewrite those emails or rewrite those Slack conversations that we have to send, I use ChatGPT. I don't know, that's just an instinct. When I have to write those huge PRDs or wiki documentation, since a lot of, at least at Adobe, we use Google Drives, like Google as the place where we are storing our documents. So I use Gemini over there because it has already the context of all the documents that are there. So yeah, it depends on the case-to-case basis, but yes, to shortlist, that would be my first thing.
Yeah, I think you folks are a lot more sorted than I am. I think I have an addiction. I think it's a problem. I have subscription of almost all these AIs, Gemini, ChatGPT. I sort of cancel them. No, I waste a lot of money. I cancel my subscription at the end of every month. And then in the first week of the next month, I again resubscribe. Every time I think I'm not going to use it this time, but I still end up using it. So my workflow is very weird. I want to do something. I will ask every AI model to do it. And I'll pick the one that makes me the happiest. I think I'm not happy with any one of the outputs, but I do trial and error. I think this is an app idea here where you put in a prompt and it will get a response from every single AI model out there. And you can pick the one that you like.
Based on this like trial and error method of yours, have you seen that any agent outperforming other ones? Because it seems like you have done a lot of trial and errors on these agents.
Yeah, in some cases, like if I want to plan an itinerary, Gemini does it really well. If I want to code, Claude does it really well. If I want to, just rewrite something, ChatGPT does it really well. And even within ChatGPT, you have so many options. So like, I get very picky about those models as well. That okay, if I want a more technical thing, I'll use this. If I want a more casual thing, I'll use 4.0. So I think I should probably have a better mental model or which model to use instead of trying all of them. But yeah, I'll probably learn from these guys.
Yeah, so I also tried multiple models, multiple platforms like ChatGPT, Cursor, Copilot. So I've been one of the early adopters of Copilot when it was in beta. So GitHub rolled out a beta version to few of the open source maintainers. So Copilot works well with GitHub integration. So for example, PR reviews we can request from Copilot. At Webpack, we adopted multiple things that never went live for Copilot. For example, it would generate a PR description and PR summary automatically. So we adopted that as well, but Copilot maybe didn't get much attention for that feature, so they didn't roll out actually. And there was another feature, so Copilot docs something. So for that, we just indexed all of our Webpack documentation on the GitHub Copilot docs, and you can ask any random question like how do we create a Webpack plugin, and it will refer the docs and cater to your specific answer to your particular response, similar to ChatGPT. So that was nice. And for coding, Cursor has been very helpful. So I was using like Copilot for last 3 to 4 years, but majorly it was just one line completion suggesting variable names. But with Cursor, it can go beyond that. It can insert in multiple files at the same time, right? So for that coding, I'm heavily relying on cloud. And there is also one Gemini research, right? So that is that takes like 15 to 20 minutes. But for example, at work, I was given a task to write end-to-end testing for a no-code tool Framer. So we have a few pages built on Framer, which is a no-code tool app. So I just give it a prompt that hey, these are the options like Playwright, and browser stack. What should we use? So it went all through all of the blogs and articles available, and it really created a comprehensive document. So for research sort of thing, Gemini is the best. For coding, Cursor and Claude. Yeah. And for paraphrasing and normal ChatGPT thing, that ChatGPT does well.
Okay, so this was your coding part. Now beyond just coding, like has these AI models helped you, let's say, in debugging or code reviewing or finding some issues? Has it helped you in that cycle as well?
Yeah. So I heavily use ChatGPT for PR reviews. So for example, we have recently expanded ESLint beyond JavaScript. So earlier what used to do, ESLint was just meant for lint JavaScript files, right? But now ESLint can lint Markdown, ESLint can lint JSON, ESLint can lint CSS now. So we are adding more and more rules. So soon, like you would not have to use style lint or Markdown lint sort of tools. So for that, we are getting lots of PRs and contributors, adding new and new rules. So for Markdown stuff, there are, like I mentioned, there is a lot of assertion on regular expressions that HTML should be like this. For reviewing those use cases, I just copy paste the code because it's open source. It will easily find bugs first of all. Then I will just see, but it does not work very well in every case. For example, it would sometimes suggest false improvements, or it would report false bugs as well. So I have to verify that. For regular expression, it works well. It can identify that, hey, this will match an HTML which is inside our comment as well. So that is, we should improve the regular expressions. So for debugging, yeah. And other things also, like I have to plan an itinerary, or I have to prepare for my US visa interview. All those things ChatGPT does that.
So you asked about PR reviews, right? So interestingly, a couple of years back, I'm sure a lot of organizations must have also faced this challenge where people are blocked on PR reviews. People are raising PRs, but you don't have anybody to review it, and you write the PR in 2 days, but it's taking 5 days to get a person to review it. And we had faced similar challenges with getting PRs reviewed. So we sort of set up a structure where we have L1 review, L2 review, where maybe a new joinee will do the L1 review to understand what has been done, leave some basic comments, and experienced person will do an L2 review and leave more in-depth comments. So what we've done is now the L1 review is done by AI. So I don't know if you all have heard of this thing called CodeRabbit. It does PR review for you on GitHub. It also leaves comments on GitHub. You can extend CodeRabbit to sort of give it more instructions about what kind of things you want to catch, more context about your project, your coding practices, and it will actually do the first level of review for you. So the moment you raise a PR, the first level of review is already done. So you can make those changes in the very initial stages itself. And by the time it gets to L2, your PR is already in a better shape. So yeah, for PR reviews, AI has been quite helpful.
Yeah, agreed. In fact, like in our organization as well, we have 3 kind of bots, AI bots who are ready to review our PRs, a Claude bot, a Cursor bot, and the Copilot. And some of the Copilot we feel now we don't require it anymore. You guys want to add?
So I have an interesting story about debugging. So you guys have all have that witness that those async errors that happen, which only one particular QA on a Friday afternoon is able to reproduce it, and no other person in the team can reproduce it, right? So we had this bug that was logged by a QA, and it was Friday night. We had to go for production, and it's like if you have found a bug, then you have to fix it. And we were not able to reproduce it, so we just told Cursor about the context and through a stat trace of the, basically the JavaScript. And it was able to help us gauge the problem, like this is where the problem can be. So it really saved that 1 or 2 days of debugging in an hour and told us this is where the problem lies, and now, of course, you can figure it out on your own, or ask Cursor further to solve it. So I think that was one of the scenarios that I felt where I got help from debugging from Copilot.
Yeah, I guess everyone has talked about PR reviews already, so I won't repeat that. I had a phase where I was obsessed with writing cursor rule for everything I do. So in that phase, I wrote one cursor rule, which does like a component review. It's not exactly on GitHub. It's locally in your cursor chat. You can just say, review this component. It will go and see if the component is well written. It has JS doc, it has types, it has documentation. And it just basically, it's like a checklist for your components. So yeah, every time you build a component, you can just go and ask your cursor, hey, review this component for me. It will run through these checks and let you know what you missed. So yeah, that is like one thing. And apart from reviews, we also have a cursor rule for writing API decisions. So API decisions for us are like how you expose your components to your consumers. We already had done API decisions manually over the years. What we did was we just wrote a cursor rule that says go through these existing API decisions, learn the pattern of the APIs we expose, and based on that, create an API decision in the similar pattern. So if you have a variant prop in button, variant prop in batch, it will add a variant prop in whichever new component you're building. So it writes the API decision, and it's almost like the API decisions used to take us at least 2 days for even the smallest one, and now it's like 10 minutes task.
So another interesting story that I had about debugging, right? We built this Figma to code MCP. What it does is it will take your design and it will translate it directly to code. So in the early days, it was doing a really shitty job. It was giving us code that was quite bad. It wasn't accurate. It was not rendering at all. So we knew that's the case. So what we did is we wrote evals to test how accurate the code is. So when we wrote the evals, what the evals would do is that they will look at the generated output of AI and tell us what's wrong there and how accurate it is. Basically, we just asked the eval to give us a number that how accurate is it from 0 to 100. But just a short thing that we added is give us your thinking as well along with it. So when we were trying to figure out what the AI generated code is doing wrong, me and another colleague of mine were on call for maybe half hour, 45 minutes, going through the code that AI has generated, nitpicking, hey, it did this wrong, it did that wrong, it did that wrong. And we made a list of things that everything that AI did wrong. And then we thought, hey, let's just run an eval and see what the score is. And we had completely forgotten that we had also asked us to give us a justification. So within 10 seconds, it ran the eval, gave it like a score of 30% and a detailed justification of everything that is wrong with the code. So everything that we have been doing for 45 minutes, AI did it in like 10 seconds, and it actually spotted more things, more than we could have. And it's just crazy how it's so good at understanding such nitpicky things as well.
So we have talked enough about the goody things about these AI. Now let's talk about some limitations and pitfalls. So a lot of times we have seen that the AI agents, models, they're kind of hallucinating. They're asking something else and they're like kind of lost in their whole world, telling something else or just hallucinating. So what do you feel? What is wrong with that? Is it like the prompt which is going wrong, or what exactly happens and how to navigate through it?
So I feel we cannot blindly trust every code suggestion that AI provides. For example, I'll give you an instance where I was writing an ESLint rule for Markdown, and I gave him the prompt that this is the expectation of the rule. So it came up with a solution which was working fine, but it was not very optimized. When you actually review the code, like it was doing a lot of iterations, it was traversing each of the node in the Markdown, which was really not needed. You could just directly go into the heading node or just traverse all the heading nodes only. You don't have to go to link nodes and all. So things like that you have to check manually always. Or you can also like prompt it better at the new approach that you would like to have. And then there will always be some false positives and negatives, right? So for example, there was one of the talk in accessibility also where the first suggestion was not truly accessible, right? Like the disabled prompt was not mentioned, right? I think that was your talk. Yeah. So we have to follow up multiple times, like, hey, now disable is not working, so you have to provide. Then it comes with multiple suggestions. So the testing would have to be done manually and thoroughly. Yeah.
I think whenever I think about an agent hallucinating, I always think about a child crying, basically. So just imagine that a child is crying for chocolate, and but the grandmother comes in and she brings an apple and an orange, and it asks the child to choose from these two things. So I think that's what is exactly a AI agent is. It starts hallucinating, it's crying, and then you need to play that power game with the AI agent. That the power is lying in my hands. I'll ask you to now choose between an apple and an orange, and no more crying or fussing over the chocolate that you were doing before. So that's how I like to picture when it comes to hallucinations. And of course, we already thought about providing the right details, be as specific as you can be when it comes to dealing with AI agents, and that's how you get the results.
So interestingly, I also had an example in mind for this same question, and it was also regarding a child. So how I think about an AI is like, it's a very, very talkative child who won't shut up no matter what. If it doesn't know the answer, it will still not shut up. So if you ask like a 5-year-old kid, hey, what do you think about Elon Musk? She'll be like, I love it. It's my favorite ice cream. Because it doesn't know what Elon Musk is, or who Elon Musk is. It has never, learnt about it. So unless you help the child understand what you're asking questions about, the child will never know what to answer. But because it's a child, it's not going to shut up. It is just going to say whatever answer comes to their mind. So context is king. If you ask some LLM, which is the latest iPhone, if it doesn't have access to internet and LLM was trained maybe before the launch of iPhone 16, it's going to say iPhone 15 is the latest iPhone. So it needs to understand what it needs to infer. So give more context, only then it will be able to give you better answers. If it doesn't have the right answers, it's just going to hallucinate and not stop talking.
I'm going to add it to the child terminology. It's like a child that I don't trust. Like they're just children who can say anything at any point. So you just don't let them say anything for some time. I've seen a lot of people who have the YOLO mode in Cursor. I don't think so I'm there yet. I have trust issues with Cursor. So I still like manually approve every single tool call, every single command it's trying to run. I have like few things on auto run, like Google search, it can go search things. But any place where it's trying to write something, it's still something that I'm not kept on YOLO mode. So yeah, that is just something that I do for stopping it from messing up. But yeah, it still messes up. Like if I look sleepy today, it's because I was debugging my workshop demo at night. So yeah, I think it still messes up, but yeah, I just don't trust AI yet. I still approve everything it does.
So now we know that AI is a child. Now how do we plan to discipline that child? We know that it's going to cry for like chocolates, or it's not going to listen to us at all. So what policies, what guardrails do you guys think we can add, or maybe we can add on to improve so as to like get better results, better response? What do you guys think?
Yeah, so I guess one thing I do is in Cursor, I just said that if you're planning to change more than 4 or 5 files of code, just don't. Just let me know what you're doing, and then I'll approve, and then you can go and change things. If it's smaller changes, then it's fine. It can go and make like add props, make any smaller changes. But whenever it's trying to do anything bigger task, I just ask it to get the overall plan approved first, and then do those things.
I think I would say that check whatever answer it's giving. Like, don't just follow it blindly, of course, we all know that, but keep checking it thoroughly. It's not that after 10 prompts, you are seeing, oh, I need a better result, I need a better result. And after the 10th prompt, you are checking your answer. By that time, the model has learned a lot, that you are okay maybe with the 10 answers that it already gave you. So stop it right there, correct it right there. When it gave you the wrong answer or not a good enough answer that was solving your purpose in the first go. So that is something I really like to follow when it comes to working with AI agents.
I think so. There are two levels of guardrails that you'll need to add, right? One is on a personal level on when you're using AI, these folks mentioned that we should be careful of what AI is trying to do. I remember somebody gave YOLO mode access to AI, and it sort of ended up overwriting Git commits and force pushing to master. So be careful with that, obviously. But even at an organizational level, you need to have right guardrails in place. If now we are in a phase where it's not just engineers who are developing code, we have product managers, engineering managers, everybody's writing code and everybody's trying to take it to production. So you need to have better organizational practices. You need to have tests. Testing is more important than ever. You need to have automated tests, manual tests, regression tests. You need to, not deploy everything in one go, sort of have a staggered deployment. Do canary tests to make sure whatever is going to production, is it failing for a lot of users or not. Be ready to revert quickly. Have a really nice security team in place to make sure that AI is not messing up your organization's security. So earlier it was just us engineers who had to be careful. Now I think engineers have to be careful for every other builder in the organization who's trying to ship to production as well.
Yeah, as I mentioned, you have to be very precise with your prompt and provide relevant context as well, right? So at the first attempt, you won't get a very production-ready code. You will get sort of an MVP solution. For example, there would be some security pitfalls, like the input field might not be sanitized. There would be some performance optimizations. So you have to test it manually, back and forth, and be very expressive with your prompt, right? For example, if you asked Cursor to build a chatbot, it would not consider accessibility. It would not consider security at first. So you'll have to follow up bit by bit. Even if you also give it everything in one prompt, it would hallucinate again. Like, hey, do I have to focus on accessibility? And then it will just miss few things from each bits.
Yeah, adding to the child analogy, now this is like a child intern who's working with you. Earlier, when we used to have interns join our team, interns are still smarter. I mean, they're still a little more careful, but you would still review their code. You will make sure that they're not making a lot of mistakes, and you're a little more stricter with what's going to production that an intern has written. So similarly, like a child intern, you have to make sure whatever they're doing, you're reviewing it thoroughly and not just blindly accepting its code and taking it to production.
Yeah, I just realized that I didn't mention cursor rules in this answer, so I'm going to mention that. Like one place, for example, where I saw AI messing up a lot was it just couldn't figure out how to run our test for some reason. It kept running a wrong test command every time, and then you'll have to cancel it. It'll then figure out from package.json and then run it again. It also messed up a lot of our testing formatting, like how we write tests, which tests we write. If you select Claude 4, it will write like 100 tests for one small component. If you select it on auto and let it do, it will just write like one test and miss a lot of functionality. So yeah, there we actually wrote a cursor rule which mentions what what are the test cases that we definitely want to cover, what are the test cases which are optional, how to run those tests, how to run an individual test for a particular component. So I think that has directed Cursor into writing better tests, running tests in a more efficient way. And I think similar thing we do for just general coding practices as well, where every time you see Cursor messing up somewhere, just go and write a Cursor rule for that and just ask it to not mess up that particular part. Eventually you'll be at a point where it messes up less because you just have like a set of things where you're stopping it from messing up. So I think Cursor rules are a good way to direct AI into doing the right thing.
Now I have a very conflicting question. Do you think that AI is going to cut our jobs?
Yeah.
Yeah?
So on that, no, not yes. But on that, I have a recent, I actually recently gave a presentation on using modern ESLint and Mercedes-Benz, and one of the attendees asked me the same question, hey, do we really need ESLint now? Cannot just Cursor linter files? So I was also showcasing the newly launched ESLint MCP server. So what my thought on this is that AI needs a knowledge base, right? So for example, JavaScript is also evolving. Everything is evolving. So we need to update the knowledge base accordingly. For example, recently there is a new feature in JavaScript, explicit resource management. So now you can declare variables by using keyword. So using is a new keyword. So earlier it was like var, let and const, but now you can use using and await using also. So for that, you would have to update the parsers to know the syntax. You would have to update the bundlers to correctly compile it. You would have to update Babel to correctly compile it to the older versions, right? There are multiple chains, right? Similarly, then ESLint, at ESLint also we are updating our core rules to accommodate this new syntax. Earlier, like for example, no unused variable would not report this if you have defined anything with the using keyword, but now it would report, right? And AI would not know that, right? Because it refers to existing knowledge base, existing docs. So for now, I think that is one thing, but I'm not sure, like after like 10 years, maybe AI is smart enough to update that as well.
Yes, so tech is evolving, of course, it's growing. I think AI won't take our jobs. I don't think so, that will happen. But an engineer who is not using AI and an engineer who is using AI, that would make the difference. So the jobs will be taken by the engineer who is using AI versus the one who is not. As tech is evolving, if you guys have seen Google I/O, it came into the last month we had Google I/O, right? They were beautifully describing now they are developing something that you just search something on Google and it will show you the UI. It will take, for example, if you're doing a hotel booking, you search on Google and it will take you through the payment page directly. So that's the tech that is evolving. That's the AI boom that is happening. I think the future will be, maybe we don't have screens at all, right? We just had Apple as well as Meta announcing that with Vision Pro, we will be having the screen either on the, somewhere in the spatial thing or on the glasses. So that's where tech is booming, and we need to have AI as our ally so that we can make that tech boom faster, basically. So we need AI. It definitely helps us. Yeah, use it. So.
I actually have a funny story about me using AI that made me sort of realize that, hey, you know what, maybe I'm still needed. So I was working on something and I had a TypeScript issue that I wasn't able to figure out. It was a bit too complex for me. So I was like, you know what, let's just use Cursor. I asked Cursor, hey, can you fix this TypeScript issue for me? And I put it in the agent YOLO mode because I needed to go make some coffee. And I was like, okay, it will fix the error. And I went, I made some coffee, had my coffee, came back. And I came back, the agent was done doing what it was doing. And I was just going through what it has done because there were like so many changes in the entire code base that I was just completely shocked. So it tried fixing the TypeScript error. It couldn't. So it realized, so how do I fix this TypeScript error? What if I just remove TypeScript? I will migrate everything from TypeScript to JavaScript. And it did that. It migrated everything to JavaScript. It removed TypeScript entirely. And it's like, here you go, the TypeScript error is now fixed. And that was brilliant. And I thought, Okay,
AI was right. It did fix your error.
It did. So that's when I realized that, at least for now, AI is very unidirectional. It knows how to help you on what you need help on, but maybe it can't think about the future. Maybe it can't think architecturally. Maybe it still needs some human intervention on what are the things that we need to scale as an organization. And that's where I think engineers will still come in to sort of help nudge AI in the right direction.
So yeah, now we are out of time. I'll just be quick. I think the way I see it is, I don't see it much in a different way than any developer productivity, design productivity, or product productivity tools getting released. It's just at a larger scale and it's all at once, for sure. But we've all grown up in the internet era where we've seen the UIs changing a lot. Again, this is not even related to AI. We've seen how YouTube looked like 15 years ago, or how Google looked like 15 years ago. There's no reason for them to look like that, because the shadows were there, the colors were there, the interactivity was there. JavaScript was mostly similar without ES6, but you could still do the things. The thing that changed with ES6 or a lot of these frameworks was it made building interactive UIs simpler. And once you solve that problem and make things simpler, your one set of problem is solved. So you go and move on to the next set of problems. That simplicity didn't result in, say, lesser engineers building static UIs, but that resulted in same amount of engineers or even more engineers building more interactive and dynamic UIs. I think that is what how I see AI as well, where it's coming and solving a bunch of issues for us. It's coming and solving a bunch of things that we have been solving for years. But then once those are solved, you go and use that as a starting point and work on top of that. What this results in is you just improve the quality of your products. You ship things faster than how you shipped earlier. So that is how I see it happening, where AI would have killed jobs if AI was a one company exclusive tech. Then that company would have just left out some people so that they can build at the same industry standard with a lesser amount of people. But AI is something that's adopted by everyone. If Razorpay is adopting it, everyone else is adopting it as well. So we can't, the industry standard itself is changing. The industry standard in what is the quality of UI, how fast you ship these UIs. I think that is what I see changing. And it's also not something that I would talk in future sense anymore, because a lot of AI things, a lot of changes are today. It has changed a lot of things that we've been doing in last few months itself. So I don't even talk about it in a future sense. I think it has changed, and I think it's going in that direction where the industry standard is changing rather than people being left out.
Got it. So just last question, and I'll need answers in one line. So one advice you would like to give everyone who is using AI to such extent to make sure they are up to date and they don't lose their jobs with the person who are using AI and they start doing it. One line.
I would say use AI, of course, but at the same time, don't miss out on that wisdom, that knowledge, or that skill set also. Because ultimately, you need to take that decision. ChatGPT or Copilot won't be taking that decision on your behalf. So wisdom and your knowledge base won't replace AI. So yeah.
Yeah, I think on similar lines, use AI to make yourself faster, but whether you will be better or not will be completely on you and how you use AI. So the idea is to get better, get faster. You can definitely get faster, but as long as you remain up to date, remain knowledgeable, and keep reading up on things, you will not just be faster, but you will be better.
I would say use AI for things that you already know how to do. If you already know how to place 4 cards in grid, there's no point in placing them manually. There's not much things that you'll learn by placing them manually. So use AI for those parts. If you're planning to learning a new thing, use AI, but still read the code that AI is generating. Don't just generate a big block of code and forget about it. So yeah, I think that is my idea.
Use AI, but don't trust AI.
And so with that, we'll end our panel discussion. So for everyone, treat AI like a child, train him, train it, don't trust it blindly. Make sure to update your knowledge base, have some wisdom, keep learning, and yeah, all the best. Thank you so much.